Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're gonna find out how bad this old i5-7600K platform will bottleneck the RTX 2080 Ti and also give you an idea of how it will perform with the upcoming RTX 3070. But before that, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe down below, and thank you for watching. Alright, so before I get into the specs and the benchmarks of this build, I would like to ask everyone for a small favor. Please go ahead and hit the like button down below. It really helps to grow the channel and I appreciate it. Also, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you can stay tuned to my latest videos. Alrighty, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. As I'm sure you've noticed by the title in the video, this is an i5-7600K and it's Intel's very last generation i5 that actually had only 4 cores. As of now, I'm sure you're well aware that then it went into 8th generation 6 cores, and now we're up to 6 cores and 12 threads on the latest i5 10th generation. And believe it or not, that this processor is almost 4 years old, and that's what we're going to find out in this video, if it's still well worth keeping, especially with all these graphics cards coming out on the Nvidia side. And that's why I'm going to test it with the RTX 2080 Ti. That's the best card that I have, and it's a perfect card to test out with this old platform to see how bad it'll bottleneck and give you an idea if it's still worth keeping if you're interested in the market for the new upcoming RTX 3070, which is very well priced at supposedly same performance as the 2080 Ti. So let's begin with this build here. I am using a Gigabyte Ga-Z170X-Gaming 6 motherboard. This is a 6th generation motherboard paired with the 7th generation i5. It is a great motherboard. Of course, I did flash the BIOS. It overclocks fantastic. Running this processor at 5 gigs, no problem. Cooling. For cooling, I'm using the Cooler Master Air MA620P Twin Tower RGB. This is a 6 heat pipe cooler. It really is on par with a lot of the liquid coolers out there. So I got it at a really good price on eBay. I think only 35 bucks. But if you're planning to overclock this processor, you could definitely get it at 4.8 gigahertz with a decent cooler like a Evo 212 or so, and you'll get really good temperatures. It's after the 4.8 to 5.0, that's when it gets really hot, and that's why you need something more substantial like I have in this case. And the temperatures are really good, and you'll see that while I'm doing the gaming test benchmarks. Also, I am using a 16 gig kit, 4 sticks of 4 of G.Skill 3200 megahertz RAM, DDR4, XMP profile enabled to get that 3200 megahertz working, running really good, no issues at all. What else we got here? For the boot drive, I am using the Samsung Evo 256 gig M.2 NVMe, and this motherboard does support 2 slots for the NVMe M.2, so that's really a good feature, especially for an older board like this. And for the secondary drive, as usual, I have a 1 terabyte of Western Digital mechanical drive, which is a perfect combo if you're on a budget and you plenty of space to store your extra games on it. Also, for the power supply, I have a PowerSpec 750 watt 80 plus semi-modular. It is not the best power supply, but for this build it is perfect. I was able to, overclock the processor and run this powerful graphics card with no issues at all. One thing I didn't like about the power supply is that one of the cables, as you might see right there, it's not that black modular one, because for the RTX you do need to use 2 8-pin connections, and I wanted to have 2 separate rails going into it, and so it looks not the best. The cables don't look the best, but it really depends what your power supply situation is, and that is one of the more expensive parts nowadays. As you've seen, that is one item that have skyrocketed recently, and you really have to pay a premium on these power supplies, especially when you're going up to 750 and up, a rated power supply, and that's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. All right, so for the fans, what's great about this CPU cooler, it comes with two RGB 120 millimeter Cooler Master fans, and then along with that I have an exhaust fan, which is also a Cooler Master RGB fan. It looks really nice combination with that, and I wish I had two more for the front, but I am using the two stock Phanteks fans that came with this case here, which I put them in the front. I really wanted to fill up the slots for the fans to get the best possible airflow. And also I have a RGB strip here that is connected to the case, and the case is the Phanteks Eclipse P300. This is the red edition. It's a really nice sleek case. As you can see, the color combination is fantastic, red and black, and that's what I went with. The motherboard, also my RAM sticks are mixed in with the red and black, so it's two different colors on the RAMs sticks to give that nice look. Originally this build came with the GTX 1070 Gigabyte G1 version, which is also matching with this case, but I took that out because I wanted to test it out with the RTX 2080 Ti. So overall, this bad boy is a pretty nice build, and I was very surprised on the results I was getting. Now, for those of you who are still rocking this old platform and wondering, do you need to upgrade? You see a lot of reviews out there really bashing the Intel, but I'm here to tell you that that's really not true. This is still a great platform for games, any game. It doesn't matter which one it is, if it requires multi-cores or not. This strong 4-core processor is still excellent for gaming, and I'm gonna show you a Cinebench R15 single core benchmark, and you'll be really impressed with that. And then we're going to compare that score to some of the more high-end, more recent processors out there, and you'll see that really not a lot has changed. So yeah, that's it for the build. So let's get into the benchmarks, and I'll see you in a moment. Alright, I'm back, and I just want to really quickly show you the CPU-Z. As you can see, we are at 5 gigs overclocked here at 1.3 volts. It's a very safe voltage for this overclock. At 4.8 gigs, you could get away with the stock voltage. I think it's 1.25 or something like that. And really quickly, I wanted to show you a benchmark here of the single thread performance here. And we're gonna go ahead and pick one of the best AMD processors available, which is the Ryzen 9 3950X. This is one of their best groundbreaking processors, and we're gonna bench it against that. And we're looking at the single thread performance, of course. Again, we are not gonna compare multi-core because this thing has 32 threads versus just 4 cores. So I just want to show you the single thread performance. And remember, yes, this processor is overclocked to 5 gigs, and here you have it. This processor clocked at 5 gigs is still 30% better than a single core performance of this Ryzen 9 3950X. Now, nobody's going to show you this, nobody's going to tell you about this. That's why I still think that the 7600K is a fantastic processor for gaming, and I'm gonna, once we get into some gaming benchmarks, I think you're gonna be surprised. So I'm gonna do one more benchmark, which is the R15, so stay tuned for that. One last thing I wanted to show you is the Cinebench R15 single core benchmark here, and you see the score I got is 214, which is really phenomenal for almost a 4-year-old processor. Now yes, this i5 is overclocked to 5 gigs. That does boost up the score quite a bit, but just to give you an idea that the latest and the most powerful single core processor on the market, which is the i9-10900K at stock speeds, scores 234 on the single core Cinebench, and that's not that much more. Just to show you how strong this processor is, and it's really good at gaming, and that's what I'm going to show you in just a few moments. Then move on to the best single core performer in the AMD lineup, which is the Ryzen 7 3800 XT and the Ryzen 9 3900 XT. They both score 219 on the single core, and that's right there. Just to show you that, you know, this is something that people may not want you to know, and they want you to upgrade and spend more money, but the i5-7600K is a really good processor. And just to think about, if you got this thing when it first came out, now almost 4 years later, it's still performing like this, I say you got your money's worth it. Even though this thing was originally like 200 bucks, let's say, for this i5 when you first got it, 4 years later, it still kicks butt. And one last score I want to just show you, like the Ryzen mainstream processor, which is the Ryzen 5 3600. That scores at 197 on a single core, and once again, this processor overclock does beat it. So yeah, just to show you that that's the kind of numbers I'm getting. And without further ado, let's get into some gaming test benchmarks. So the first game I'm going to start off with is Horizon. Let's take a look at the settings. We're going to do 1080p and then 4K, all same presets. Full screen graphics are all on ultra except motion blur off. Everything else is fully maxed out. This is a great game to test out your newly built hardware. And let's take a look what we have. Okay, this is a strictly DirectX 12 title, so we have no choice but to play this game in DirectX 12. And let's see how well this old platform does with the DirectX 12 title.
I told you, gather the berries. Good. Now eat the berries. They may taste bitter, but they could save your life. Always keep your pouch full of medicinal berries, flowers, and plants.
Where are we?
This valley is just a part of All Mother's embrace.
Embrace.
The Nora tribe watches these lands and keeps out the most dangerous machines, usually. Further downriver, we'll find a herd of machines, and I will teach you how to hunt.
Are they dangerous?
All machines are dangerous, Aloy. Their power must be respected. But I will be beside you. Aloy, a machine's coming. Crouch and follow me into the tall grass. There. Now stay low.
Little one.
No, Aloy. Stay still. Wait for it to pass.
As you can see, so far so good on 1080p here.
Now keep low.
really no issues. We're definitely getting over 100 FPS on average on ultra settings.
Oh, another one.
Very similar to just about any other platform out there. Alright, let's go into the 4K. Okay, once again, we are on Ultra. Full screen.
Come, back this way. The slower you move, the quieter you'll be. And crouched walking is quieter than upright. Wait for it.
And we're averaging just about 60 FPS. And again, that is the same kind of numbers that I've seen on the higher tier processors like the i7s and i9s or the Ryzens.
You did well. They didn't see or hear you. Now stay close. That herd should be just ahead.
Like I said, if you invested in this build 4 years ago, it's definitely worth still keeping, and you definitely got your money's worth. All you do is just upgrade your graphics card. Alright, so on to the next game. Now here is Battlefield 5. It's a great benchmark for any build out there to really see what your system is made out of. So let's start off with the settings on 1080p as usual. Here we are on the ultra settings, everything maxed out as you could see here. We'll start off with the 1080p. Now I picked this section here because there's a lot going on, a lot of characters, a lot of shootings. And again, we're getting very good score here. Now again, some of you might say, oh, this processor is no good. Look at the usage, 80%, 90%, 100 at some certain areas. That really means nothing. It really means nothing. Look at the average, look at the performance. Now sure, with some of the really old processors like an old dual core, you know, or like an old quad core Xeon that's non-stop 100%, and no matter what card you put in, it's like a 30 FPS. That's a different story, you know, but when it comes to a processor like this with a really good strong single core performance, being at the limit of the usage doesn't necessarily mean that it's bottlenecking. But you be the judge. And that's why a lot of the times disabling the hyper thread in processors gives you a better result overall in the performance when it comes to gaming. Let's jump into the 4K. And once again on Ultra. Oh yeah, getting a real good performance here. We're like around 90 FPS. That's pretty fantastic. Here's another great game to test, is the Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now what do you guys think? We're gonna get like really bad FPS, 50 FPS on 1080p. What do you guys think? I don't know. Alright, let's take a look here. We're on Ultra preset, except motion blur off. And 1080p full screen, DirectX 11.
It's your own fault.
Did you get it over with already? They want us back ASAP. Wait. I'm a government official. I'm supposed to... Not anymore, Mr. Lead Archaeologist. Your employment...
As you can see, we're at the 100% CPU usage, but the average is pretty good, as you can see.
After we're done here, we'll pay your sister a visit. No.
Jonah, Trinity just tried to kill a local archaeologist.
Oh God.
I have to find what they're looking for.
This is Commander Rourke. All teams, get ready for Operation Blackout.
I know this figure. Ishal, the goddess of the full moon. Oh, and this is Shakshal, the new moon. There's an inscription. Shakshal, the key lies beyond her gaze. Key.
Alright, let's get into the 4K resolution here to wrap it up. Again, we're keeping the same settings. This is the highest preset with motion blur off once again.
to make my way down.
And let's see. Should be around 60 FPS. More or less, depends on the action. And yeah, that's pretty good for 4K on ultra settings. What do you guys think? Let me know.
Okay, this should work.
Of course, our CPU usage has... Oh, it's still pretty high.
Right.
But in this case, it appears that the higher the CPU usage is here, the better FPS I'm getting. That's just the way it is.
All units, get ready. Dr. Dominguez is on his way down.
Damn, we better hurry. I've got this. The statue was looking at that cave. This is it. Jonah, I'm entering a cave. We may lose contact.
Alright, that concludes Shadow of the Tomb Raider. On to the last game. So I'm going to wrap up this video with Control. Let's see how well it does. We're on 1080p, full screen. On the highest preset. Ultra, everything on except motion blur. And of course I'm not using ray tracing options for this video. Here it is. Let's see if we have a bottleneck here and get really low FPS. Let's see what happens. Alright, there it is. Looks like no bottleneck again. Opa. Ooh. Look at that.
Federal Bureau of Control. All these years I've been looking for them and they were hiding in plain sight. Hello? Hey, it's...
There you are. Well, I hear about the job. Janitors asked you to go to the code.
I got it.
I bought. You catch.
I've done enough night shift loader jobs to know it makes us come off weird. Auntie the janitor is a friendly face in my book.
Better than somebody with no face at all. Think about it. No face.
the cell and the poster. I was 11 years old the first time I saw behind the poster. They told me I imagined it. I've been trying to pull it down ever since. Will you help? Did I lose you there for a moment? You know what's on my mind. My baby brother, Dylan. 17 years since the men of this bureau took him.
We'll do the last thing here is the 4K. Again, full screen, ultra preset, motion blur off. That looks about right. As I'm sure you're well aware that the RTX 2080 Ti on all settings maxed out on 4K doesn't quite hit the 60 FPS with any processor out there. So yeah, that's to show you how how tough it is to run this game here. You do a couple of tweaks, and get up to 60, but just wanted to show you that on the max settings how it looks. So yeah, well, that's it. I'm finishing up this video here. Let me know what you guys think. Is it time to upgrade, or this performance is good enough to keep for a couple more years to come?
Shit.
I really like to hear your opinion.
Really?
Leave the comments down below. And I'll see you in another video. And thank you for watching.
Look at this place. Where am I? The same gun. Okay, now I have a gun.